Imagine stepping out of a misty London morning in the year 1900. Horse-drawn carriages rattle along cobbled streets, their wheels echoing against the stone walls of tall Victorian buildings. Gas lamps still glow faintly even as dawn breaks, and the acrid scent of coal smoke hangs in the air. A newspaper boy shouts headlines about the war in South Africa, and men in bowler hats hurry past him, umbrellas tucked under their arms. This is Britain at the turn of the century, the twilight of Queen Victoria's reign, a time when the old century is closing and a new one begins. Politically, Britain in 1900 stands like a titan on the world stage. The British Empire stretches across continents, from India to Africa, from Canada to Australia, and countless islands dotting the oceans. London is the beating heart of this vast dominion, both admired and resented. Some see it as the center of civilization, others as an empire of exploitation. Yet at home, contradictions abound. For the wealthy aristocrats and industrial magnates, life means grandeur, banquets, opera houses, balls under glittering chandeliers. But not far away, in the East End of London, families squeeze into one-room tenements, struggling with poverty, disease, and the daily grind of survival. The year 1900 is also the year of the Boer War, the South African conflict where British soldiers fight fierce battles against the Boer republics. The war casts long shadows back home. Some see it as a test of imperial strength. Others condemn it as cruel and costly. Posters call for men to enlist, while mothers and wives wait anxiously for news from overseas. Meanwhile, a sense of change hangs in the air. The rigid Victorian values that defined the 19th century are beginning to crack. The suffragettes raise their voices, demanding the right to vote for women. Labor movements grow stronger, pressing for fairer wages and better conditions. The old order is still strong, but tremors of transformation are undeniable. To step into Britain in 1900 is to stand at a threshold, one foot in the grandeur of the past, the other stepping into the uncertainties of the modern world.
Society and class, the invisible divisions. If you were to wander through Britain in 1900, you would quickly realize that society is built like a tall ladder, and not everyone stands on the same rung. At the very top are the aristocrats, dukes, lords, earls, and wealthy landowners. They live in country estates and townhouses in Mayfair or Kensington, where servants manage every detail of daily life. For them, leisure is not a luxury, but a way of life. Weekends for fox hunting, evenings for the theater, and summers spent in grand houses filled with music and laughter. Below them are the upper middle classes, bankers, lawyers, doctors, successful businessmen. They admire the aristocracy and often imitate their manners, hoping to climb closer to that elite circle. They send their sons to Eton or Harrow, dreaming of Oxford or Cambridge. Their homes are filled with pianos, libraries, and the proud smell of polished mahogany. Then comes the lower middle class, clerks, shopkeepers, teachers, civil servants. They live respectably, often in terraced houses on the edges of cities. Pride in respectability defines them. Neat clothes, punctual routines, and saving every penny to rise higher. They fear falling back into the working class and cling tightly to their fragile status. The working class, however, forms the bulk of the population. In the industrial cities, Manchester, Birmingham, Glasgow, men labor in factories from dawn until night. Women take in laundry, sewing, or work as servants in wealthier homes. Children, though child labor laws are slowly improving, still often work in mines or workshops to help feed their families. Life for them is a battle against hunger and exhaustion. At the very bottom are those invisible to polite society: the unemployed, beggars, orphans, and the destitute in the slums. In London's East End, entire families cram into single rooms. Diseases like tuberculosis spread easily, and the smell of sewage lingers in alleys. For these people, empire and grandeur are distant dreams. Survival is the only reality. Yet class is not just about wealth. It shapes speech, dress, manners, even how one walks down the street. The accent of an Oxford graduate is a badge of privilege, while the Cockney voice marks someone as working class. A woman's gown might announce her husband's salary more loudly than his words ever could. Still, amidst this division, 1900 is also a time when cracks in the rigid system begin to show. Trade unions gain momentum. The Labor Representation Committee, which would soon become the Labour Party, emerges, giving political voice to workers. The suffragette movement challenges not only gender inequality, but also the assumptions of class privilege. Society in 1900 Britain is like a grand old building, elegant and imposing, but with small fractures beginning to appear in its walls. The old hierarchy still stands, but new winds are blowing, and the foundations will not remain unchanged for long.
The City of Fog, Life in London at the Dawn of the Century. If Britain in 1900 is the heart of an empire, then London is the pulse that keeps it alive. With nearly 7 million inhabitants, it is not only the largest city in Europe, but also the beating capital of the world's most far-reaching dominion. Yet London, at the turn of the century, is a city of contrasts, a place where unimaginable wealth and unspeakable poverty exist only streets apart. Step into the West End, and you will find yourself surrounded by grandeur. Gas lamps glow against polished shop windows, displaying the latest fashions from Paris, while horse-drawn hansom cabs clatter past gentlemen in tailored suits and ladies in long gowns adorned with lace. The theaters on Shaftesbury Avenue and the grand hotels near Piccadilly attract wealthy tourists and London's high society. Music hall songs, operettas, and Shakespearean revivals keep audiences enthralled late into the night. But only a short journey eastwards, across the River Thames or down narrow, winding streets, lies another London altogether. The East End, a sprawl of overcrowded tenements, narrow alleys, and markets thick with noise and smoke. Here, poverty is a constant companion. Children with bare feet dart between costermongers selling fish, bread, and coal. Mothers lean out of windows, shouting over the din while scrubbing laundry in basins of gray water. The stench of sewage lingers in the air, and tuberculosis claims thousands each year. To walk through London in 1900 is to walk through the contradictions of an empire. Policemen in helmets direct carriages at busy intersections while beggars crouch in doorways. Wealthy men step out of gentlemen's clubs on Pall Mall, cigar smoke curling in the night air, while matchgirls, young women who earn pennies dipping matches into phosphorus, leave their factories with raw, aching hands. Public transport itself reveals the city's duality. The new underground trains, still lit by flickering gas lamps, rattle through tunnels beneath the city, carrying clerks and workers from the suburbs into the heart of commerce. Above ground, trams and horse buses groan under the weight of passengers. For a few pence, one might sit beside a banker on his way to the city, a seamstress returning home, or a soldier on leave. London is vast, but in its streets, the classes sometimes brush shoulders. The city is also alive with voices from across the empire. Indian students in dark suits discuss politics in smoky coffeehouses near Bloomsbury. African sailors docked along the Thames mingle in pubs with Cockney dockworkers. Irish migrants, fleeing poverty back home, crowd into the East End, bringing with them songs, Catholic traditions, and strong labor networks. The empire does not just stretch outward, it flows back into London, shaping its neighborhoods and its culture. At night, the famous London fog rolls in, thick, yellow-gray, heavy with coal dust and soot from thousands of chimneys. It swallows lamplight and muffles sound, transforming the city into a ghostly world. For the wealthy, fog is an inconvenience. For the poor, it is a danger, hiding thieves, choking lungs, and seeping into already damp and cold rooms. Yet, amidst hardship, London is also alive with ambition and possibility. The streets hum with invention. Newspapers are everywhere, from serious broadsheets like The Times to penny papers filled with scandal and cartoons. In bookshops, one might find the works of H.G. Wells or Arthur Conan Doyle, transporting readers to worlds of science fiction or detective intrigue. In lecture halls and laboratories, discoveries in electricity, medicine, and physics foreshadow a new age of science and progress. Children skip rope in alleys, newsboys cry out the latest war updates, and organ grinders turn their handles while monkeys collect pennies. The sounds of London in 1900 are chaotic, but they form the rhythm of a city both ancient and modern, weighed down by its past, yet rushing toward the future. To live in London at the dawn of the 20th century is to inhabit a city of endless contrasts, glamorous and grimy, imperial and local, suffocating yet full of opportunity. It is a city where fortunes can be made and lives can be lost in the same breath. Above it all, the bells of Big Ben strike the hour, reminding Londoners that time, relentless and unstoppable, is carrying them forward into a new century.